love, care, and new beginnings, the husband's hospital journey. Serenity nodded in agreement, accepting the doctor's recommendation to keep Zachary in the hospital for a few days to aid his recovery. Worried about his work and salary, she expressed her concern, prompting the manager to assure her that they would take over Zachary's responsibilities during his hospitalization. The manager also assured her that his salary would remain unaffected as he was on a business trip. Feeling grateful, Serenity believed she had secured a few days of paid leave for her husband. She thanked them, assuming that she had successfully arranged for Zachary to rest and recover without the burden of work. Concerned about Zachary's well-being, Serenity asked how many bags of fluid he needed. Learning that he required one more bag, she decided to stay with him, reiterating that she had come to the hospital to take care of him anyway. The manager expressed his appreciation, acknowledging that having her by Zachary's side made things much easier for them. Initially planning to assign their secretary to look after Zachary, the managers changed their minds due to Zachary's aversion to young women being close to him. With Serenity present, they felt at ease that he's in good hands. They envied the close relationship between Serenity and Zachary, even though they were unaware of the exact timing of their marriage. Mr. Buchan had simply informed them that Serenity was Zachary's wife. In a gesture of gratitude, the manager offered Serenity some desserts that Zachary had bought for her, along with fresh fruit and milk. He also promised to compensate her for her time once Zachary was discharged from the hospital. Serenity didn't refuse the offer, feeling justified in accepting payment for taking care of Zachary. As the managers prepared to leave, Serenity thanked them, and they assured her that she could call if she needed anything. Once they left the ward, the deputy manager questioned Zachary's feigned sleep, but Mr. Tank dismissed it, stating that Mr. Buchan had said they could trust Serenity to handle everything. The deputy manager expressed surprise at not knowing about Zachary's marriage, but Mr. Tank reasoned that they were far from Wilkes-Barre and hadn't been informed. He also noticed that Serenity seemed unaware of Zachary's true position in the company. They observed that Zachary had bought desserts and fruit for Serenity when he found out she was coming, indicating his care for her. The deputy manager praised Mr. Tank's keen observation skills. Meanwhile, Serenity stayed by Zachary's bedside, feeling worried as his temperature remained high. She gently felt his forehead from time to time, her concern deepening with each touch. After checking his temperature again, Serenity settled into a chair beside the bed. She took out her phone and sent a text message to her sister and others, letting them know that she was at the hospital with Zachary. She informed her sister about Zachary's condition, expressing her worry and determination to take care of him during his illness. After sending the messages, Serenity pocketed her phone, aware that it was late at night and everyone was probably asleep, so she didn't expect an immediate response. Zachary began to regain consciousness slowly. When he opened his eyes, he acted surprised and bewildered, as if he couldn't believe Serenity was there with him. Rubbing his eyes and questioning whether he was dreaming, he mumbled to himself, expressing his disbelief at her presence. Serenity playfully pinched his hand, asking if it hurt. Zachary responded with a cute expression, claiming it hurt a lot. She reassured him that he wasn't dreaming and that she had told him she would come if he couldn't get a doctor's appointment. Zachary attempted to sit up, but Serenity insisted he lie down since he was still running a fever, and she couldn't understand why he wanted to tough it out. As Zachary complained about his symptoms, he started to cough and expressed concern about Serenity catching his flu. He called the nurse and requested 2 masks to prevent spreading the flu to her. Serenity put on one of the masks provided by the nurse and promised to get more from the pharmacy in the morning. Seeing the takeaway chicken soup, Serenity offered it to Zachary, but he explained that his right hand was on a drip, making it difficult to eat. Serenity helped him sit up and offered to feed him, teasing him about being too lazy to use his left hand. Zachary humorously suggested he found the chicken soup a gourmet treat when Serenity fed him. Serenity took the opportunity to express her concern for Zachary's health and reminded him that work shouldn't be prioritized over his well-being. She pointed out that he worked for his boss in the company, which didn't belong to him, so there was no need to sacrifice his health for them. While spoon-feeding him soup, she gently nagged him about taking better care of himself and seeking medical attention when needed. In his mind, Zachary silently argued that the company actually belonged to him. Serenity continued speaking, inquiring about Mr. Tank, the manager of the subsidiary company, who had introduced himself and arranged for Zachary to remain in the hospital for a few days. Serenity mentioned that Zachary was on paid medical leave, and she was asked to look after him and would be compensated for her time. She admired how the subsidiary company took care of its employees, even family members, without them needing to ask for it. Zachary, enjoying his chicken soup, thought to himself that it was still his money, but he refrained from saying it aloud. He questioned how long he needed to stay in the hospital, expressing his dislike for hospitals and his desire to rest at home and only come for daily 4 drips if necessary. Serenity firmly insisted that he follow the doctor's orders and stay in the hospital for proper treatment, reminding him of his previous unconsciousness and the risk of permanent damage. Although Zachary was initially reluctant, he eventually agreed to stay, realizing that Serenity was taking care of him with such dedication. He's secretly glad Josh had sent her to care for him, hoping it might improve their relationship after a recent fight, but he also noticed that Serenity had him under control since her arrival. Serenity teased him, suggesting she might leave to attend a party if he didn't stay in the hospital, prompting him to quickly agree to stay and obey her words. Although Zachary resented the doctor's recommendation for hospitalization, he couldn't hold on to that feeling as he appreciated Serenity's care and thoughtfulness while feeding him chicken soup. Zachary, longing to kiss his wife, was disheartened by his cold and viral infection, fearing he might infect her. He playfully asked if she could kiss his cheek through their masks, but Serenity was at a loss for words. Despite his attempt, Zachary's voice trailed off as they remained under the constraints of the hospital setting. Serenity quickly surrendered, telling Zachary to stop using a creaky, cute voice as it didn't suit him and made her uncomfortable. Despite his reluctance, Zachary desired a kiss on the cheek and received it from Serenity, feeling her love and affection even through the mask. They had a heart-to-heart conversation, and Serenity expressed her concern for Zachary's health, scolding him for not taking care of himself properly. Zachary playfully claimed to have lost weight due to his lack of appetite during his business trip, but Serenity suspected he might have been trying to show off by taking cold showers. Serenity noticed the pills on the bedside table and inquired about their usage, suggesting a jab might work faster and be more convenient. Zachary disliked injections and preferred the pills despite their side effects. He offered her some fruits and desserts, but she declined, opting to stay awake and accompany him. Zachary was touched by her care and felt bad for keeping her up, but Serenity reminded him that she was there to look after him and insisted he sleep. She playfully threatened to feel guilty about taking the salary from Mr. Tank if he didn't rest. Zachary was left speechless, appreciating Serenity's dedication and love. Noticing that Zachary was still fixated on her, Serenity set aside her phone and stood up. She approached him with a tender smile and planted a gentle kiss on his cheek, saying softly, "You should try to get some rest now." Serenity then touched his forehead, concerned about his persistent fever. "Do they have a thermometer here? I should check your temperature. You are on 4 drips and taking pills, but your fever doesn't seem to be fully subsiding." Zachary honestly replied, "I'm not sure if there's a thermometer in the room. I'll go ask the nurse at the station," Serenity said as she swiftly picked up her phone and left the room. Meanwhile, Zachary's phone started to ring. It was Josh on the line, wondering why Zachary was still awake at this late hour. He had seen Serenity's message about her safe arrival and decided to check on his friend's health. In a weak voice, Zachary responded, "The fever hasn't completely gone down. The doctor wants me to stay in the hospital for a few days, but I can't help feeling like they're just trying to make more money off me." Josh chuckled, understanding Zachary's skepticism. He knew his friend could be stubborn at times, and this hospitalization was testing his patience. "You should listen to the doctor, Zach. Besides, your wife is here to take care of you. It's a good opportunity to spend some quality time together and maybe patch things up if needed," Josh advised. Zachary sighed, insisting that everything was fine between them, but Josh couldn't help but remember the recent argument they had over something trivial. It seemed like Zachary was sending mixed signals about his relationship. Changing the topic, Josh asked about an invitation to a party from a couple they knew, the Stones. Zachary confirmed that he intended to attend, assuring his friend that he wouldn't betray him or his wife. Laughing, Josh added, "Don't worry, man. I'm not here to cause any trouble. Besides, Miss Sox was also invited to the party." As Serenity's footsteps drew near, Zachary quickly ended the call, making an excuse about his wife's strict instructions for him to rest. He was somewhat embarrassed that he'd unintentionally boasted about Serenity caring for him during his illness. With Serenity back in the room, she proceeded to check his temperature and recorded it. Settling back on the bed, she began watching videos on her phone, and a sense of relief washed over her as she saw that his fever had slightly decreased. "Do you want some water?" Serenity asked. No, I don't feel like drinking any. I don't want to keep rushing to the bathroom. It's not very convenient right now, Zachary replied. Serenity was at a loss for words. Since Zachary didn't want to sleep, she stopped watching videos on her phone and started chatting with him, doing most of the talking while he listened intently. As she chattered away, Zachary's eyes grew heavy, and he eventually drifted into slumber. When the fourth fluid bag hooked to Zachary was empty, Serenity called the nurse to replace it with a new one before returning to the dependent's bed and browsing her phone. However, her own eyes began to feel heavy, and she could barely stay awake. To freshen up, she put her phone down, removed her mask, and splashed cold water on her face. Serenity waited until the last bag of 4 fluid was emptied before waking Zachary up for his medicine. Then, she finally caught up on some sleep. The next day, Serenity's phone woke her up. It was her sister, Liberty, checking on Zachary's condition. Serenity assured her that although his fever came and went, he was in the hospital and receiving proper care. Liberty reminded her to take care of herself too and not to overexert. After the call, Serenity checked Zachary's temperature and saw that it had gone up again. She prepared his medication and woke him up to take it. When the doctor came for his rounds, Zachary's temperature had gone down again, and he looked better. Mr. Tank, the manager, visited the couple and brought them breakfast made by his wife. Serenity fed Zachary carefully, wanting to do a good job in front of Mr. Tank, who was paying her salary. Watching Serenity's caring attitude, Mr. Tank thought highly of the CEO's wife, understanding why Zachary doted on her. He believed that gentleness could soften even a hardened heart. He also noticed that Zachary was more amenable to staying in the hospital with his wife around. Serenity then asked the doctor if Zachary's medicine could be switched to an injection. Zachary was taken aback and didn't recall requesting a shot. However, the doctor explained that injections could have potent effects and sometimes cause adverse reactions. Mr. Tank interjected, insisting that they should give Zachary the best cure, not realizing he might be contributing to Zachary's desire to leave the hospital. Inwardly, Zachary cursed Mr. Tank for inadvertently bringing up the possibility of a shot. He didn't want to stay in the hospital any longer and thought the injection might be his way out. He couldn't express his frustration openly and could only vent his feelings internally. Serenity continues to care for Zachary while he's hospitalized. After the doctor's rounds, Serenity discusses with Mr. Tank the possibility of giving Zachary a shot instead of pills for his treatment. Mr. Tank, always considerate, agrees to the idea and goes to consult the doctor. Feeling uneasy about the impending injection, Zachary tries to find ways to avoid it. He even attempts to use affection and pitiful gestures to convince Serenity to let him skip the shot. However, Serenity sees through his act and firmly insists on him taking the injection as prescribed by the doctor. Amused by Zachary's attempts, Serenity affectionately pinches his cheek, reminding him that everyone has something they fear, and for him, it's the injection. Zachary can't help but be charmed by her care and attention, even in this challenging situation. As they banter, Serenity offers Zachary an apple from the fruit basket. Although he's not particularly fond of apples, he accepts it to please her. She playfully jokes that she would even eat shrimp with the shell on if he didn't peel it for her. Zachary tries to bargain with her to get discharged early, promising to take her to enjoy the abundant and cheap seafood near the coastal city. However, Serenity remains adamant that he needs to stay until he's fully recovered. Meanwhile, Mr. Tank returns with some takeaway lunch for the couple. However, sensing Zachary's displeasure towards him, he makes a quick exit, not wanting to provoke any further irritation. As the time for the shot approaches, Zachary becomes more anxious and tries to come up with excuses to avoid it. Serenity, aware of his discomfort, offers him something else to think about and leans in affectionately. But being mindful of his cold, Zachary swiftly puts her mask back on her face, not wanting to infect her. Serenity continues to take care of Zachary, monitoring his temperature, administering his medication, and feeding him lunch. Despite his stubbornness, she remains attentive and dedicated to his well-being. Serenity playfully mocks Zachary for his fear of needles when he hesitates to take the shot. She lovingly teases him about his manly image being tarnished by his fear. Despite Zachary's attempts to maintain a stoic facade, his apprehension is evident. Serenity, on the other hand, remains supportive and patient with him. To motivate Zachary to take the injection, Serenity offers him a tantalizing reward once he recovers from the cold. She hints at a more intimate and time together, causing Zachary's eyes to sparkle with anticipation. With the promise of this reward, he eventually gathers the courage to go through with the shot. As the nurse administers the injection, Zachary tries his best to keep a straight face, pretending that it doesn't bother him. Serenity, aware of his discomfort, decides to distract him by offering grapes to take his mind off the pain. While Serenity goes to the restroom, Zachary bravely conceals his discomfort, determined not to let her know how much it hurt. Zachary's phone rings, and it's Nana checking on him and expressing concern about his hospitalization. Grandma May also takes the opportunity to offer her advice, suggesting that Zachary and Serenity take time off work and spend quality time together. She believes that their relationship could use some nurturing and strengthening, and being together during Zachary's recovery could help them bond even more deeply. Throughout his hospital stay, Serenity continues to care for Zachary attentively, feeding him, watching over his medications, and ensuring he is comfortable. Despite the pain of the injection, Zachary is grateful for Serenity's presence and dedication to his well-being. As Zachary reflects on the experience, he realizes the importance of taking care of his health to avoid future illnesses. He vows to prioritize his well-being and appreciates the support and love he receives from Serenity during this time. Despite the discomfort of the shots, Zachary looks forward to spending more time with Serenity and nurturing their relationship. He eagerly anticipates their future together, hoping that their love for each other will only grow stronger with time and care. Zachary is deeply in love with Serenity and realizes that their relationship is not as strong as he would like it to be. He acknowledges that his own behavior and habits contribute to their frequent arguments, and he contemplates making changes for the sake of their relationship. Meanwhile, Grandma May, Zachary's grandmother, is frustrated with her grandson's lack of progress in their romantic lives. She particularly singles out Zachary, believing that he should be more proactive in pursuing a stronger bond with Serenity. Grandma May plays a matchmaking role, offering advice and urging her grandsons to take charge of their love lives. In contrast, at the Stones' residence, an extravagant event is taking place. The Stones have organized a rare gathering, inviting numerous guests at the last minute. Notably absent from the guest list are the Yorks, as Mrs. Stone wishes to spare Lisa from any potential distress. Elisa, who once had feelings for Zachary, has finally decided to move on and let go of her attachment to him. As the night progresses, the event becomes a lively affair. Mrs. Stone, Elisa, Liberty, and Liberty's son Sonny are gathered together, ready to enjoy the festivities. Despite the absence of the Yorks, the atmosphere is joyous and celebratory. Liberty prepares for the event at the Stones' residence, but she faces a wardrobe dilemma as there were no suitable evening gowns in her size. Nonetheless, she puts on some new clothes and adds a jewelry set given by Mrs. Stone, which gives her a sense of elegance and privilege. Sonny, her adorable son, wears a mini suit that enhances his already charming looks, making him the center of attention for any woman who lays eyes on him. At the party, Mrs. Stone takes Liberty and her daughter to welcome Mrs. Lewis and her son Duncan, who are considered distinguished guests. Although Mrs. Stone and Mrs. Lewis don't usually greet each other much due to their connections with the Yorks, they exchange warm greetings this time around. As they talk, Duncan's attention is drawn to Sonny, and he tries to approach the little boy affectionately. However, to everyone's surprise, Sonny appears to be afraid of Duncan and shies away, seeking protection from his mother, Liberty. Duncan feels a bit embarrassed, admitting that Sonny always seems scared of him. Mrs. Lewis notices the exchange between Duncan and Sonny and asks if Duncan knows Liberty. Duncan reveals that Liberty used to work in his company but recently resigned. Despite Sonny's initial fear, Duncan still finds him irresistibly cute and tries to interact with him, hoping for a hug. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel, The Voice Novel, and follow Voice Novel on Facebook, so you will get notified whenever a new video is uploaded. Thank you.